Welcome to Lesson 9.6, Finding the Circumference and Area of a Circle. Today we're going to talk about how to calculate the circumference of a circle using the diameter and using the radius. We are also going to talk about how to calculate the area of a circle using the diameter and the radius. However, we need to be careful because with the circumference, there's two different formulas we can use. One uses the diameter and one uses the radius. However, this is not the case for the area. For the area, we can only plug in the radius, but if they are given the diameter, we can use what we know about the diameter and the radius to complete our problem. So we're going to start first with circumference. When you're finding the circumference of the circle, you take the diameter of the circle and you multiply it by pi. Pi is an irrational number that is the ratio of the circumference to the diameter. Okay. For us, pi is represented by a figure that has two sticks and a top roof. So diameter, we use a little d, and here's our symbol for pi, and then for circumference you'll typically see an uppercase C. However, what if they only give us the radius? This is not a problem for us because we know that the relationship between the diameter and the radius is that the diameter is equal to the radius times 2. So in place of d, what I can do is I can take, and I'm still going to multiply by pi, which we use 3 and 1400ths as the numerical representation of pi. But instead of putting in d, I'm going to put in the radius times 2. So if they give us the radius, the formula is radius times 2 times 3 and 1400ths. These are your two different formulas. You need to make sure when they give you a circle, you look carefully and say, did they give us the radius or did they give us the diameter? So for this problem, they gave us the diameter. So we need to use C equals D times pi. So I fill in my missing pieces. I put in C because I don't know it. I substitute 30 for the diameter because I know the diameter of the circle is 30. And then instead of putting the symbol in for pi, I changed pi to 3 and 1400ths. Okay, then I can come off over to the side, and since 3 and 1400ths is the longer number, and it doesn't matter with multiplication what order we do it in, I can put 3 and 1400ths on top and 30 on bottom, so I don't have to extend 30 and make this problem extra long. So 0 times 4 is 0, 0 times 1 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0. I'm done with the 0. Put down a 0 as my placeholder and start with the 3. 3 times 4 is 2, or 12, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. And then 3 times 3 is 9. When I add all of these together, I get 9,420. However, because there are two numbers after the decimal, I need to move my decimal 2 places to the left. So the circumference of this circle is actually 94 and 20/100ths meters. This one is a different example. They gave us the radius. So I need to use the radius formula, which is C equals 2 times pi times r. Now we changed it to 2 times pi times r because a lot of people have an easier time remembering 2 pi r. Again, it's because we can move our numbers around when we multiply. It's all the same. 2 times r times pi is going to be the same thing as 2 times pi times r. So I fill in what I know. I don't know C. 2 stays the same, it's a constant. Pi turns into 3 and 1400ths, and I put in 7 for r. Now to make life easy on myself, I'm going to do 2 times 7 first. And that gives me 14. But I still have to multiply by pi. So I come over to the side, 3 and 14/100ths. The 14 goes underneath. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 3 times 4 is 12. I'm done with the 4. I put 0 down as my placeholder, and I move on to the 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. I add these together. I get 6, 9, 3, 4. Again, I have 2 numbers after the decimals, so I move it 2 places to the left. The circumference of my circle is 43 and 96/100ths inches. Okay, so for the first part of your problems, you are going to do numbers 1 and 2 in your notes, which is finding the circumference of these 2 circles, one with a radius of 4.5 millimeters and one with a diameter of 23 inches. Make sure that you watch the rest of the video because there are other problems that you have to do and that you only post once. So you're going to have 4 problems tonight and you should post all of them in one post. We also use pi to find our circle's area. And remember, the area is all the inside of a shape, or the space that a shape takes up. So the area is equal to pi times the radius squared. There is no substituting here because radius squared is not the same thing as radius times 2. Radius squared means radius times radius. So if they give you a circle with the diameter, you have to find the radius before you can fill in the pieces of your formula. So to shorten this, we say area is equal to pi r squared. Right, so let's try this. Area is equal to pi r squared. Here they do give us the radius, so I fill in my pieces. I don't know A. I know that pi is 3 and 14/100ths times, I know my radius is 10 and that I have to square that. Order of operations tells me that I have to use the exponent first. So 3 and 14/100ths comes down, and I know that 10 times 10, because that's what 10 squared means, is 100. And I know that when I take a number times a power of 10, that I can move the decimal as many places as I have zeros. So I have 1, 2 zeros, so I can move my decimal 1, 2 places to the right. So the answer here is the area of the circle is 314 inches squared. Just like with all of our other shapes, when we find the area, it's in square units. Right, in this case, our formula is still area equals pi r squared, but I notice here that they gave me the diameter. So I can't just throw 30 in for r, I have to figure out what r is. So I know that since the diameter is equal to r times 2, I can plug in 30 for the diameter. I don't know what r is, and I can't change times 2 because that is a constant. But to solve, I can divide both sides by 2, and I know that the radius is equal to 15 inches. So for my formula, I can plug in A is equal to 3 and 14/100ths times 15 squared. Now because I practice my squares and square roots, I know that 15 squared is 225. And I bring down 3 1400ths because I haven't used that yet. And then I can go over to the side and I can do 3 1400ths times 225. 4 times 5 is 20, carry the 2. 1 times 5 is 5, plus 2 is 7. 3 times 5 is 15. I'm done with the 5. I put down my placeholder. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. And 2 times 3 is 6. I'm done with the 2, but now I need 2 zeros as placeholders because I'm done with 2 place values. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. I add all these together. This gives me 0. 8 and 7 gives me 15. Carry the 1. 8 plus 2 gives me 10. Plus 5 is 15. Plus 1 is 16. Carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. Plus 2 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Carry the 1. 6 plus 1 is 7. But now, because I had 2 numbers after the decimal, I know I have to move my decimal 2 places to the left. So the area of this circle is 706 and 50 inches squared. The next 2 problems I want you to try on your own. You have them in your notes. Okay, it's a radius of 7 and a diameter of 45. Make sure that you try these problems and you post your answers to Edmodo all in one post. If you have any questions, please make sure to write them down or to post them on Edmodo so we can go over them tomorrow.